make sure that...
3 days to find her guilty of manslaughter. Joining me now to break all this down, Miguel Custodio and Bob Bianchi. Thank you both for being with me. What a day. 3 days to get to a guilty verdict on the highest count, the manslaughter. What are your thoughts, Miguel?
Well, I'm surprised that it took the jury this long. Based on all the evidence that was presented, it didn't seem like there was any other person to blame. She was the only one, and she had 4 children that she was caring for. There was nobody else that they could blame, and so they came to the reasonable conclusion.
Miguel, you're a trial attorney, and I did hear the defense say that the prosecution has new evidence that they are giving us. So let's assume it's above the board. They get new evidence they're giving. But as a trial attorney, what does it do when all of a sudden you have all this new stuff at your feet after you already have a decision on the actual trial? Well,
it definitely makes you think about everything in a new light, right? So you have to have time to analyze all this information. And so I really think that this information should have been sent to the defense, and there should have been some time for everything to process. So I do think it was sloppiness, and we see that often. And as a result, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens at this evidentiary hearing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the judge said, okay, file that motion for a new trial in Hawaii. That must be the correct way to handle a circumstance like this. Certainly, Court TV will bring you any updates, because I was a bombshell I wasn't expecting at the end of the conviction of the babysitter on the charge of manslaughter. We have to take a break. When we come back, we're going to go back for more in the trial in the state of Georgia against Jose Ibarra. Stay tuned. Still with me, Miguel and Bob. Thank you both for sticking around. Miguel, let me ask you this. This is a textbook investigation from my perspective. Boy, they found the body, they gave her CPR, they dealt with her first, the victim in the case, and then they're describing every tiny little bit of evidence they saw, including noticing there was a latent print of a fingerprint on her cell phone when they found it 5 hours later.
Yeah, textbook investigation indeed. This is a case that's highly stacked against the defendant, and it just seems that they are going very methodically through every single step, every piece of evidence. It just seems like this is going to be something very, very hard for the defendant to overcome. And one thing that we're looking, when we see the defendant, he doesn't really have any expressions. He doesn't seem surprised. And maybe that was part of the calculation of the defense counsel in determining whether they wanted to have a jury trial or a bench trial. Because a jury trial, if they see a person like him, they're not gonna have any pity for him.
Miguel, what's your response quickly?
Bob, I have to disagree. This is a small town, Athens, Georgia. It would be impossible to find an impartial jury.
All right, Miguel Custodio, thank you for being with us. Coming up, more testimony in the murder of Laken Riley.